smoke is going to break, but only his. I don't think Sacred knows what's going on yet. So instead, the stun is going to be for the Shaman. Probably the better target, a lot easier to kill. Nightmare into the arrow setup. There's that combo. That's what, not Lyrical, pardon me, that's what Trent was looking for, and that's what he's going to get. And first blood for Affliction. A little bit of action to kick this one off. But yeah, I mean, it's been a nice back and forth series. If that was Lion,
yes.
Lion,
Richie. That Lion would have lived. Maybe. Would have had more chances at least.
Maybe. Could have. Pretty squishy here. It's pretty similar in concept. Shaman, of course, punches a lot harder at the least. But even the brown boots weren't going to save him there. And Alone is going to try and find a ward, but he probably saw Mini there, so would have known that that wasn't going to be too much information gathered. 2 for 2 on the runes, and otherwise first blood bonus going to the Bane. Not too big a deal here. I don't think Apu King's too concerned about what's going on.
Now, it does seem like you know, the small start for Infamous, but it does lead to what Winter was talking about the panel. You know, when Winter said, Avo said, everything is just a fast hero. You're gonna play around that timing easily. Poke also, despite being a little bit of a soft counter with Storm, usually gets online regardless. Always the small camp to recover, and Timber's Timber, right? So they probably hit the timing. It's not so much a deathball lineup as we saw, for example, in Luna, because their goal is not to like win that game off that timing, but it's to immediately put pressure on an enemy team that usually needs a bit more time to farm. TA a little bit slower than all these three heroes, and Storm certainly much more slow. So let's see if they can abuse it as well.
This is a really interesting bottom lane. Because traditionally you have two, I mean, TA of course not really too much of a traditional safe laner. I suppose now she can kind of be considered in that camp. It's been a couple patches she's been quite popular in the role. But of course Timber no stranger to this bottom lane. He knows the rules and so do we. But Benny and Sacred both really weak in these early levels. So they're both going to try and take advantage of that. I think it's kind of interesting when you look at the supports and seeing what they're going to be able to accomplish here. Because eventually level 3 is a pretty big spike for both Timber and TA alike. I really want to see how they both, like, who's going to decide to take the more aggressive step or the aggressive stance in this lane. Should be more accurate.
That's true. I agree. I think that TA's actually not that bad against Timber because you burst them before usually you can get reactive armor stacks. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But in the lane, I think it's a bit too difficult to stop him from getting armor stacks because.
Okay.
It's just you have the creeps always with you.
Yeah, I mean he does exactly this, right? He just tanks the wave and doesn't care.
And then when this happens, like I think if you usually see a normal Timber matchup, right, against one of his bad matchups or whatever, he doesn't do this as much, right? Like he'll tank the wave later, but not necessarily as much now. But he just knows he has to against a TA to prevent damage. That was really unfortunate.
Oh, that feels so bad. The stomp comes through, Sacred still gets the CS as well.
I feel like you actually could go for a kill here. I'm surprised they're actually not pushing on Serum. I thought Serum was dead with an arrow there. Oh, well,
yeah, they tried for Serum.
Spells.
Yep.
That's why. No.
8 stick charges for Benny, and there's level 3, so he's a bit stronger now.
You miss 100% charge the shots you don't take, and you also miss 100% of the shots you do take, apparently. So, at least if you don't use it, you don't give him stick charges. That's the strategy.
You know, that is true. It's something to consider in the lane here, that it's stick charges. Sacred
as
now
my
is...
basketball coach used to say, Alvaro, if you're going to fail anyway, why even try? Oh, but they didn't.
Oh, so. Wow.
Well done. Nice coach.
What a rotation. And yeah, look at that. Even Alone's Mini's like, yeah, okay, that was a nice play. You know, I played Kunkka a couple of times before. That was pretty sick. Serum's going to rotate, but I mean, he's a gyro. What are you going to do, right? Homing missile's never going to be fast enough for a mid lane skirmish. This Courier almost dies as well.
You know what's actually kind of hype about that play is that that play, you go and you're like, well, but it's so easy, X, you hit the arrow. And it's true. What was actually really hype about that play that Richie was so excited about is the fact that he used the torrent to mistime, to make it so that the TP could actually complete and everything, right? Whoa. That's the play you're expecting, the arrow. That's good. That's what you expect out of the torrent, to elongate this with a Tidebringer. A couple more hits. Can they kill him though? Benny has nothing to avoid this. He's going to fight to the death.
This is incredible.
Too much.
This, I mean, you're exactly right. Yeah, go on though, go on.
I was gonna say, these are the plays you expect, right? This is the very obvious one. It's actually really easy to execute. But by using the torrents earlier, what they accomplished is they mistimed the rotation. It was difficult for Serum to calculate that, because usually you rotate preemptively. You don't rotate as Kunkka's initiating on you. So Storm was not expecting that. Neither was Serum. He couldn't come in time. And by doing that, they actually managed to get 2 kills off it, because that second kill came from the first kill. And the second kill is when Mini has no TP. So it's actually incredibly impactful what the rotation was in the beginning. Really well done.
Block of shame. And now Michael's just going to go straight back down bottom. Sacred actually could use the help, to be completely honest. So it's going to be a relief. One last thing I do want to highlight there is Michael TP'd mid. So it was just so unexpected. And there are very few heroes that can really stop a gank like that in the mid lane. But Gyro support is certainly not one of those. He brings nothing. Even if he was there, it would basically just be emotional support, to be quite honest, especially against a tanky Kunkka and a Murata who's got naturally evasive. You're never going to catch her. It's just that easy.
Yeah, it's like imagine Gyro, Storm is being ganked, and Gyro's like, they have 2.5 seconds, dude. My missile's gonna be there. I swear to God, it'll help you.
And oh, she leaped. Oh no, okay.
Mini, they got it for the boat, but Alone did go a bit too far. I think Alone was a bit too overzealous here, and
he's tanky, man.
He is tanky thanks to Captain Coco's run, but he's still gonna die here. Bane rotated as well. Infamous probably didn't get the memo that Alone was gonna die in the tower like that.
Probably not.
Late on the rotation.
Yeah, likely not would be my prediction. He kind of just went for it a bit aggressively, fortified the wave, and that's when you know as an ally, you go, why is my wave fortified? And you look mid lane and you see him diving the tower and go, oh, okay, that would be why. I think that's kind of what happened there. And just highlight the difference. Hans is on the Shaman. He is kind of a hero that can stop one of these aggressive plays, right? He doesn't even have the points in Hex. That's going to be really annoying for Alone, who is going to now TP top lane, as Valky is going to get the door closed on him. Doesn't have a support here any longer, of course, because the Shaman TP'd mid to stop the gank. Torrent is going to whiff, but it is going to at least let him know that Valky continued up north. He's going to put up a tree. Is that going to actually get him out of here? Nope. Big old crit for Lumiere.
Managed to kill off Valky pretty good. Once again, the last game, something they had a lot of success with was actually it was Apple King and Kings that did this against Infamous, and they denied the Sacred lane completely on the Mars. It was difficult for him to recover. That's how they actually accomplished the early game. So if Infamous imitates the same idea and they just try to punish the Mars as much as possible, then you are left without your space creator early, and that's how Infamous can actually go in and properly snowball off the early game. So I like this. I hope they do more of this where Alone just goes top multiple times. Towers are not as important, and Timber might just take it by accident anyway. So just use the Kunkka to try to kill the Mars as much as you can.
Yeah. The only unfortunate part is I don't think there's really any stopping Sacred from getting online too easily here, unless you really want to commit the Storm Spirit to just rotate bot, and even then it's not always guaranteed, because like you said, Timber just kind of sits at very high reactive armor stacks in the long lanes. It's what he does. He's a Timbersaw. Serum's got plenty of magic damage, but he's so under-leveled right now, and yeah, now Chakram is up, so the waves just melt. TA's she's in the jungle, right? Ben, he's like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit creeps and get all my farm. Police start stacking the triangle, and then he says, yeah, absolutely, but I'm going to take the stacks because I'm a Storm Spirit, and we'll see what he builds early. We'll see what he builds early, because I think this is not the wrong move by any means. In fact, I would even go so far as to say it's the right move.
That's a big kill. Bane Murata combo.
Yeah, they even have a ward here to try and scout that, right? But it's so sudden. It's very very hard to actually really prevent this from happening. Infamous with a really strong early game. 1 to 5, sure, but what I'm seeing a bit more is, well, hold that thought, Michael. In some trouble, Shackles will secure the kill, and Mini's gonna pick it up with the zip. Oh, what an item drop though, right? Fairy's Trinket. Winter's steaming right now. He hates this item. He hates this item, especially on a Storm. Oh yeah, oh trust me, just be sure to ask him when you're paneling after this game. He will explode.
Oh, you mean the paddles? I thought you meant your cat, sorry.
Oh no, yeah, my cat is, she's cool with most items in Dota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Benny? There's the Nightmare though. A lot of hits actually, because Nightmare obviously hits, and then you hit the TA as well. Almost got rid of the fraction, but not quite. And they're like, whoa, we're all gonna share the Nightmare and just leave.
Yep.
What a way to stop the initiation.
Yeah, now Lumiere's bottom, because Sacred started to rotate here a bit into the triangle. I think I'd still like to see him. Well, who's pushing top lane? Valky? I don't know. What is Sacred farming up? Is he trying to get an item online? He's going for a Sanj first.
Top tower is under attack.
I'd still like to see him apply pressure somewhere. Yeah, and he's going to head bottom. I think this is a good move. And basically any lane he goes to, I would prefer rather than just him farm a couple of jungle camps here. He's going to look to farm up at least a Gyrocopter now. Affliction. Axel. Yep, nice. He's going to live.
He did have the Braid Stab to survive, so it's fine. And Lumiere,
good point.
Pressure down bottom. He's actually... Oh, interesting. So his way to deal with the PA...
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Sorry, on who? Oh, on the Wraith King, on Lumiere. Yes. Wow.
Radiant are
That's not the fast Wraith King that you and Winter highlighted.
Tower is under attack.
Well, you should have quote me like
Oh, and there goes the Storm Spirit. They catch him with the X-Mark's Torrent. No escape for him. Sacred even gets the kill, and now this is going to be some pressure applied to mid lane. Michael's already done a great job to get behind the tower. He's going to lose the ward, but it looks like the Mars is still kind of playing in this top area. Has a TP scroll, but not really attempting teleport with a Mirana, who can always scout you with an arrow. For now, though, it's going to go relatively unpushed, but the fact that Infamous don't have to use a boat for that kill means they're still really strong right now if you did want to try and fight into them.
Gyro feels
They missed the arrow. They really were expecting that to hit.
The whole missile and a little bit of a nuisance, but you can see it's really hard have to commit to this. Jackson will live? No. This is from behind. Gets him, but Gyro, look what he has to do. He has to get this close to actually have any sort of impact. He's going to die as a result.
Big Bull almost got him out of there.
Look, at this point, you needed the call down. Usually, your 4 is farmed enough to get the 12 yourself, and you get the call down. Without the call down, you're very useless at this point in the game. Infamous is much stronger as a team. This Gyro plan has not really been working out for them. The lane went really badly as well. Chuck him. They go for Valky.
Just missing the arrow.
He's going to be caught back in the chuck him though, so it's fine. Even with the arrow missed, he should be able to kill him with Fire Blast. And the residual damage plus chuck him will kill him off. Michael now using the Moonlight Shout trying to avoid this. They can't see him, they got no dust, they got nothing, but they do have Lumiere. However, with Reincarnation, he can still counter-initiate this. Need some sort of torrent, some gold ship, something. In comes Sacred, still tanky. They go for Sarah first. He turns into a pig. Now into Ham. Benny in trouble. Chuck him, prevent their refraction from being too impactful. Starts with fracture damage. Benny will die. Fiend's Grip trying to beat. And it's just one after the other into the slaughterhouse they go. Hannes is in trouble himself. X brings him back into the chalk. And Valky, he just wants to keep feeding, but he realizes maybe it's best to stop. Infamous is fat enough. They're going to get diabetes at this point. Let them go. They already took the tower.
Yeah, it was a really sweet fight for Infamous there. Everything started just going so right for them. Finally, one of these arrows hits big. They find Benny, so they're able to extend that fight. They missed 2 quite crucially. One of those, the first in the river, does kind of get a kill onto the Bane. But even though they still end up losing the Bane, it forces so much mana out from Mini. So when he does make that big old zip into the arena that eventually comes out, he's just got nothing left in the tank, and he's easy pickings for the Bane. I do also want to add, this is the second time we've seen Valky join these fights mid lane. Game 1, of course, is the other fight I'm referring to. The biggest difference is that Infamous are properly sieging this tower, so he doesn't have like a really super free engage, because it was really hard for him to just sneak up without a Blink Dagger when they already had, you know, a proper setup onto him. They're going to lose Axel to the Storm Spirit. Not too big a deal. So that's a big key difference between Game 1 and Game 3, and why that arena just didn't feel as good.
For the treasury.
I like that point, actually. I also feel like, I just feel like you don't have, honestly, a 5. I know I'm harping this a lot, but like, I do feel like the impact that Serum was supposed to have much earlier, and the lanes that you could give, etc., is making it really difficult, because if your support's not carrying your early game, who it's just Mars.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting point, because I would assume that a support gyro, support gyro, magic damage especially, right? Timbersaw, weak to magic damage, just didn't really work out that way. I don't think that lane is really any good, and it's surprisingly a good Timber game. Here's a call down. He's gonna, I guess, just use it for the slow to try and escape here. Nice juking and dodging in between the trees, but they still have vision, and that last arrow from Michael secures the kill. What's this? It's a kill onto Hansis.
The ROM also gives you a little bit bonus movement speed, by the way, there, so the call.
True. They used grip for that kill onto the shaman. Just want to quickly say.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Down. Now they don't have grip. He's like, I wish I'd kept it for the TA instead.
If only, right? Wow.
Anyway, I agree. I was expecting this lane also much like Trent.
Radiant's
So well,
middle tower
I'm actually
is under
surprised.
attack.
I'm assuming the Mirana had a lot to do with that though.
Is under attack.
I don't know.
Yeah, actually she did, right? Because she rotated mid. Sorry, because I think you've hit it right there. They forced Gyro mid for like 3 minutes, and then of course when they get that second kill on a Storm Spirit, he's not going to just leave the lane. That's experience. Someone needs to take it while Mini's walking back, so he just sits there. And then by the time he gets back to the lane, Timber's already got 3 points in reactive armor, and that's too many, right? He doesn't care about you anymore. I think you're right. It was the Mirana.
I guess so. I guess the Mirana had to be the impactful one, honestly. I think also I gotta admit that second played really well, right? I think his constant creep aggroing also made it much more difficult. I also think that Rocket Barrage is much more dependent. Like, yes, your positioning is important here, but if you really want to be impactful with Rocket Barrage in the lane, you also depend on the enemy team not aggroing properly, or you really play the lane incredibly well. And we didn't really see much of that. Like, there wasn't many lane shenanigans. It's kind of a high skill thing. It's not that easy to pull off in the middle of a game.
Yeah. Plus Sacred.
I also felt like he was forced into Horn Missile because he had to help mid so early, you mentioned. So I think that's why he couldn't really max Rocket Barrage, and Horn Missile does nothing to it.
Nah. And even so, even if he was able to stay in the lane down bottom, I think this lane is still actually kind of difficult for him because Timber naturally goes for no Whirling Death in that lane. Big kill on the Storm, easily set up. I think they actually hit him with an arrow first into the Nightmare. This wasn't expecting enemies to be in the triangle. Valky has a Blink Dagger finally, but it's just Phase Boots and Blink. Very similar situation that Sacred found himself in last game. They did end up winning that game, so there's still hope.
Yeah, but then that time they had the late game carry in here. Don't get me wrong, again, TA scales decently against Wraith King, but especially if it goes for Radiance, I feel like Wraith King is going to outscale her pretty heavily.
Yeah, and he's committed into the good point.
For maybe the first life, and sustain damage for the second one. As a carry, mind you, she's not like a mid fine. I think Radiance is going to this.
Yeah, I completely forgot actually that Lumiere was going Radiance. It's been so long since I've actually seen this build, like in a proper tier 1 game. But I agree, it's the right build this game, right? It's going to help you get through those refraction charges. If this does end up going late, you're going to be really happy to have that when she does get this +8 refraction talent at 25. My goodness, that's such a second wind for this hero.
Yep.
That TA, of course.
Teams gets rid of it. The mischance kind of relevant, especially on TA, because every hit matters. Usually you're like just barely getting through the first life, and then you retreat, right? That's the kind of play. Canceling or Blink Dagger is important, right? Whenever refraction's off. If she does go for Blink, which tends to be the case, either Blink or Hurricane Pike. If it's Hurricane Pike, you still chase her down with this. If it's Blink, you are capable of canceling it once refraction's off, right? Or PKB, whatever, all these. And this, on top of that, it also allows Wraith King to outfarm her TA, which is the whole thing that happened last game in Lumiere. Like, yes, the Nagashan is so strong late game. Monkey King might not be able to match her. Also, she's 10k above the Monkey King, so chances are he's getting trashed. Like, it could be any hero 10k above, and most likely they're beating.
Good read by Lumiere here. I just want to point out, mid-wave is pushing to the tier 2 tower. It's getting in chip damage. He's farming a wave top. He knows something is not right, so he backs off without even getting the range creep. Unfortunately, he's right underneath the ward. There's not a tier 1 tower here for his team to rotate to, so this smoke might just end up getting the first life. And they've trapped him in here with the Serpents. Doesn't have a blink, but he does have the phase boots. He's going to be held down, but Nightmare's going to interrupt the shackles as Mirana leaping in and out of the arena, now set up. That second life, though, will be claimed here by Valky. However, Infamous now looking for revenge. Benny has no Blink Dagger, just a Desolator and a TP scroll, but Alone trying to fight through this one. A great arrow will find Benny. That might allow Alone to escape here as they chop down Benny. Alone still alive as well in the wave, as it looks like Seum's going to take this Bane for a walk and pick up the kill, but they've found Valky, and now there's just really no threat here to Alone.
With the arrow, Serum once again suffering the wrath of being a pig. Easily punished by the arrow because he just can't move fast enough. Has no spells to use either to chase after them, and they're gonna punish Alpha King of the Kings. I want to say that play, since we might get a replay. I just want to say the cutest moment was when Michael, like, there's 4 people surrounding the Wraith King, and Michael's preparing for like the biggest initiation of his life. And as they all come back, he's like, arrow! It hits them all straight. Does absolutely nothing. Leaps in to try to pretend like he's doing more. Guys, I'm here.
Leaps out.
I'm initiating. It was adorable. I absolutely love that play.
I love the play from Lumiere, right? Like I said, I called out he read the map well, and he gets into a position, even though there's no tier 1 tower, where his team can easily counter-initiate and still end up winning a pretty big fight, even if he dies. Like, just imagine that fight takes place a little bit closer to where the Radiant tier 1 top lane used to be. There's no way Infamous gets a counter-initiate anywhere as easily. It's just not. It's just, you're not that mobile. You don't have a Storm, you don't have an Ember. Sure, Timber can move pretty quickly, but just Timber alone is not going to turn a fight like that. So really, really well done by Lumiere. And now he's got Radiance up. So this next smoke fight by Apu Kings is going to be a little bit more difficult.
It's going to be... I may say difficult, but I don't know if it's possible, especially if this is how they initiate it. Not how you initiate a fight. I guess they've already... Like, this is the ultimate acceptance that Gyro is useless. They just sent him into die.
Oh no, they might get Mini.
They got Mini. Yep, there's the arena though. That's the piece.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Mini's dead. Radiant's dead. They just fight the arena. It doesn't matter if they keep Lumiere in. He's still dealing damage to Benny, who's quickly disposed of. Shadow Shaman comes back down with some broken bones. They're chasing after him in the high ground. Once again, Serum can do the only thing he can do well, which is die and distract the enemy team hopefully long enough. Wow. GG.
GG? Oh, they called it. They've called it. What a turnaround from game 1 for Infamous. I mean, they looked a bit rough in game 1, right? We'll call it for what it is. Like, they were playing a pretty decent early game. They